let's seed our data. So right now, if I start the program, it'll be empty. There will be no persons, no person statuses. I want to change that. I want to add a few person status. I want to add a few persons. And when I do that, I'll also see if this actually works. Does it know what person status a person belongs to, or the other way around, what person status belongs to a person, right? So does this actually work? Will they actually add the right information in the database? So we're going to try and start by seeding, and then we're going to look at what it actually creates in the database for us. So step one, let's start out by just adding a few person statuses to the database. And look at how simple this is. I'm going to add a new function here. I'm going to override one. So this is how I can check out what I can override. And there's one here called seed. When I do that, it pops up with something looking almost like my abstract class. You're getting an app context from the outside. Let's just call it DB because that's just the name I'm used to instead of context. And notice how close this is now to the abstract class, right? That was the one we just made before. This is not something I made. This is something that Microsoft made, by the way. So let's start out by saying I want to add a person status. So what I'll do is I'll say DB add person status, and then I'll say add. That's how simple it is. And I'll add a new person status. There we go. And now let's just give this person status some information, a name. That's all it needs. And let's just call this at home, right? Not at homo. That sounded really wrong, but at home. Let's add another one at work and in Spain. I don't know why, but that sounds cool. He's in Spain. Good. So now we have the person statuses, and now I want to add a few persons, but I want to kind of remember the person status because I want to add him to a person. So what I'll do is I'll add a default status here. Default status is just going to be the one that I default everybody to, just because it's easy. So I'll add the default status at home, and then I'll write default status here. Okay, now I can use it, right? Now I can use it when I add my first person. So what I'll do next is I'll say db.person.add, and then I'll add a first person here, new person. This guy will be called Bill. So name will be Bill. So here we have Bill, and Bill has a status of, and notice I actually set the real status object here, right? So he'll have the status of a default status. That's all he'll have. There we go, Bill. Okay, let's add another person. Let's add Bob and Joe and Jill. Yeah, just to add a few one here. Boom and boom. There we go. So we have Joe, we have Jill, we have Joseph, Joe's Billy. I can spell Joseph. So they all have the default status. They are all added now to our database. And let's just remove the ones that I didn't want because I kind of made some boo-boo here. There we go, there we go, there we go. They're all gone. Let's save this. Now, the cool thing is when I start this, we're going to have these implemented. If everything runs and the database actually works for us, let's try and start and see how far we get. Now, what should happen is the list manager, because we haven't added the controller for the persons yet, but the person status manager now should have 3 person statuses available right away when we start the application. So let's see what happens when this is up and running. I'm going to the person statuses here. There we go, just to see if we actually have a list of person statuses. There should be 3 of them available, and the next lesson we'll try and add the person controller and add some views for that as well. By the way, what happens right now is it tries to drop and create the database. And look at this, it actually added my 3 person statuses right away. So we have a database up and running, and we even have it populated with information. Next lesson, I'll try and show you the database and try and explain it compared to the beautiful database model we showed before. See you in the next lesson.